precious jewel in our open house 8 is ma'am, Mithu Sen. She's from Shantiniketan. Was a student very, very recently.
No, not very recently. In
yeah.
20 years.
But much younger compared to our guests earlier. Maybe it is easier for us to identify. I may not say us, I should just say maybe it's easier for you all to identify with her work. So have a wonderful evening, afternoon, and yeah, to you.
Thank you, Devi.
सबको पता है ना इनके बारे में? So let her.
क्या पता है?
बहुत कुछ पता है. They must have done.
I assure you, I'm not as scary as I look, but.
Hey, come on. You're fascinating.
So thank you so much. I'm very, very happy, and I've been to this college a couple of times, but today I'm nervous because now I have to.
Not at all.
And I'm
We are very
today because both of us is from Shantiniketan, so when I was a student, he was my junior, so I'm very happy to see him here. Yeah, I met you as a student, you came there.
Yes.
And well.
We are
So I have a little presentation. I don't know if I'm always very confused. I have to confess that. Every day I go to my studio and I feel like what I'm doing and what I'm supposed to do and why I'm doing. And sometimes I end up watching Mr. Bean. Yeah. Because I just get, that's my hero.
You will identify with her more than the others who came earlier.
And of course my passion is cricket and poetry. I don't know if that matches. I also like AI and quantum physics, very strange kind of things is like my passion. So this is one of my self-portrait, and my presentation is not, I have to. So this is one of my self-portraits. So I was asked by the curator that they were doing a show on self-portrait, and I'm very bad with studying, like especially to make self on a canvas. I never did it, I think. So that was my self-portrait in 2010. Recently it got quite popular because of the first me. But this is how people actually spell my name, call me or write. This is, what is happening? It's not going. And then I started searching about myself, who I am. Because this is, I think, a very fundamental question for all of our life, that we look for our identities, that who we really are. And sometimes it is out of narcissism, but most of the time it is because we really want to, kind of find ourselves. And today it's very easy, not 20 years back when we had to do a lot of research and going to the library. And today you just put a keyword and you usually come with a assumed and AI generated data which define who you are, So I found myself something like this, and then I was it is of course me, but is it who I really am? So it's maybe 20%. What is marketed or being gathered? What was the politics behind making my identity in such way? I found myself in Wikipedia also. And then one of my interns from Chicago, she was telling that we can actually, if we want, we can manipulate our own Wikipedia page. And I started playing with it. Every few months, I just change a little bit of informations, some, years or some exhibitions. Sometimes I put I have a solo show in MoMA coming soon. And they stay for a couple of that for some time. So it is about questioning that how authentic and how trustworthy these AI generated data are, like who are actually making today. And today the most easy way to research is like you just go and do Googling and like Wikipedia, and you get your research materials and you are done. But it's not actually as easy as it looks. So after seeing myself in that red and pink palette via Google or Wikipedia, I tried to change the visual identity on internet, and I have made my own website, something like that. So mostly people know me of like the way I do my drawings and all this blood and flesh and violence and sex and all those things, which is quite kind of visual, strong, graphical, and but I don't always see myself through that lens. So for me, my mother is a poet. So for me, poetry is something very, very, like basic and fundamental, and the main essence of life. So when I was like 4 years old, I also started writing with my mom, and then when I was in Shantiniketan, I actually was writing more than I was making art. And during my Shantiniketan period, I started publishing. I have got my book published, all in Bengali. And so I was in love with poetry and language and literature. So my website actually gives a lot of textual informations, and so this is what my recent medium, because I like to be always at the time, and then I found that how internet and the social medias are a very strong kind of because today we really don't depend on different kind of mediators or platforms like museum or galleries. They are still there, they are different. But I'm sure that as the young generations, that how viable and how popular the social media is. So again, to challenge my own established self, I have created two different kind of Insta account. You can see like one is that Mithu Sen, and it has that gray and black palette with lot of text, or I call them unpoetries. And the other one is like Mithu Sen 26, seriously official. And very interestingly, that official one, the drawing and etc., has 1,000 or 1,700, whereas there are maybe more than 7,000. So this is how, I don't know if you know that one philosopher poet from 18th century called Fernando Pessoa, who used to create his different identities in the same, like it's not the pseudonym, it's not like taking another name to hide your persona, but it is creating a complete new identity, a complete new self, and it gives you freedom, it gives you a lot of ways to explore life when you are stuck by a myth of a typical way, like a traditional way. So, and humor is another thing which I incessantly kind of put in my practice, in my life, in my cooking, everything. I like that satire, and because that is the only way I think we can survive in today's time. These are kind of 5 basic narratives that I kind of use in my practice, and they look quite, like academic, but I really don't subscribe that. I just know that they are there. Basically, the medium I think I use is undoing, earning, and earn is definitely not non. That is, I'm quite sure, because non is about negating, so it's not to negate, but on to me is like exploring further. So it's like, taking the layers off and going deeper into. So that is the way I use on as a narrative trope, and I deploy it in my practice. I find words which are not in dictionary. So I have a word, like I keep using language and text and word in my practice for last 40 years, since childhood, that's what I'm saying. So I always have a, playing with words is like one of my major, kind of medium. So on is definitely, it questions about that, like kind of very rigid, constructed, that hierarchy, the institutional hierarchy or the regimen, like and how we can unsettle that. So through the notion of radical hospitality, I create something which apparently it looks nice, but then it actually provides you some kind of discomfort. And when someone look at that surface, it's not always the surface, and therefore I demand contemplation by the audience, by viewer, so that they are not stuck only on that surface of that, because this is what a lot of time we are confused about art and artist. So art can be visual, but it is actually very cerebral and internal things. It's not just executing something on the surface. I'll show you one of my kind of presentation like this. I was invited 2016 to give a little talk focusing on one work, and within a given time, like 15 minutes and 4 minutes extra, but it was very, very strict, and it was kind of a TED talk. So there are a lot of serious speakers before and after me. But as an artist, I was again very confused that what I am supposed to show. And since it was mentioned that the instruction that you show one work, so I made a film. I made a small little film with my works, and then during the presentation, I actually, so you can see that. Sound.
ये आपके इसमें लग जाए, नहीं स्पीकर में आपके इसमें नहीं लगेगा।
I don't know.
तो फिर यहाँ से आ जाए।
कहाँ? If you can't, because the sound is very important, because I do.
यहाँ लगेगा।
No, it's not coming.
उसको हिलाना भी एक बार।
So basically, I have actually excerpts the invitation letter text, and I made a film. So the background is the film, and I was actually presenting at the stage over there. it's an online thing. You can see like how people's mind works. The cameraman thought that it was a real mistake. So they zoom out. So this is the last part of this thing when I was running out of time and I had to finish everything. So I fast forward that film and then yeah, I was a bit naughty, but yeah. So the whole non-language performance was to captivate, that viewer. So when you are not able to understand what other person is saying, you feel the most vulnerable and you feel that the control of power. So that was my intention, and that is also my resistance as a person who did not study in English medium school, who studied in Bengali, and then who came to Delhi and started confronting with that lot of different kind of hierarchies of language and the politics of language and the hegemony, and then it was like really not very pleasant when 20 years ago I moved to Delhi from Shantiniketan, and especially being a poet's daughter had different kind of romanticism in my mind about poetry, literature and language, and that was not very pleasant. Like, as I said, like it was more humiliating, and unknowingly it was quite skin deep, and I am little dyslexic since childhood, so I could not cope up, adapting a new language, either Hindi or English. So I had to go through a lot of traumas, and for next 10 years I could not write any poetry in any given language. So it was more like a void phase, like a silent. Anyway, so this is how it's one of my most recent work that I was thinking that how to become a successful women artist from South Asia. You can try doing some. So I keep sending this, like you send your portfolio. So I send this one to curators or museums, and so again about how you define in a mainstream platform, that where you have to compete with lot of issues, lot of politics, different kind of politics, and what you should actually come up with, explaining yourself, whether you are a women artist from Global South, what is your, what sells most. That is what, it works. So a lot of, I remember when I went to study 20 years ago in Glasgow School of Art, and my works were, of course it was not something which will be easily identified as Indian, so there was no Indianness. And I was asked, and I realized that it is a bit disturbing not to be enough Indian and enough national. So being anti-national is a really, it's a crime. So first couple of years during the booming time in Indian art, there are a lot of curators from West who came to do a lot of big Indian shows outside India. They visited my studio as well, and they liked my work, but for some strange reason, an unknown reason, every time I was dropped at the last moment, they say that they regret that they could not take me. So finally I thought I should ask them why so, what is the lacking of my part. So they said your works are quite, strong, interesting, raising a lot of issues, but we don't find to package, it is always Indian shows are kind of showing some Indianness. So there is a package of things, and it does not fit, my work does not fit, and I was very sad. I was feeling that nobody can more anti-national than me. So then when one curator came, I think from Poland, before she entered my studio, I hold her hand, I said I beg you, please take me in your show if it is an Indian show, and I promise you I'll make something very Indian which will be you cannot deny that. Anyway, so I sent her a proposal that I will make. I was, at that time, people say you do good drawings, so do something with drawings. So I said, okay, I'll do a drawing of a Taj Mahal, and it was in Warsaw, in a beautiful old heritage building in the museum. So my proposal was approved. I was invited there for 2 weeks to do this thing. After doing the dome, the Taj Mahal, the upper part, I came back from this thing, and it was quite huge, 30, 40 feet. And I told that curator that I am not feeling good about completing that whole Taj Mahal in one wall. Can I go to the other room and make some? And she said, no, there are other artists, you cannot. I said, no, I promise you I'll not disturb other artists, other works. I'll just take some parts which are mostly unnoticed, which are not the main gallery spaces for artworks. So I went into the behind the door, or in a small part in the corridor, or above the window, or so all this little places I found, and I started making a fragmented part of this architectural drawing, Taj Mahal. And I was actually carrying a few kilos of white marble, that same marble made Taj Mahal is made of, and I put it in a little shelf where my area was designed, and I said it is that nationality that we try to create a branding. So it's that broken part of that, my identity and my nationality, and it's a souvenir for all. This is another project for a fashion residency at Khoj, where again there is always an expectation. The moment you build some kind of a, what you call that style, and that from Google to everyone thinks and make a typecast, this person is for that. So definitely when I was there, they said can you create some fashionable, interesting dress with your vibrant pink and red, and But when I was sitting in that room, I found that there was a little a kind of, what do you call that, the wall, the paint was coming out, and I started actually scratching that wall. I went to research the room history. That time Khoj was 13 years old, and every year they host at least 4 to 5 set of artists in each room. Each artist makes some works and they create the whole, they color the whole room with, according to their artworks. It's almost like, like how you dress, your accessories is like. So I thought of this room as a body, and I thought it's like overdressed. I started taking off all these layers of the robes that model was wearing, and yeah, that was, I called it foreplay. So this again, a lot of areas in my practice about language, because my background is Shantiniketan, where I've studied, and it was a different kind of atmosphere, the freedom, 24-hour studio facilities, and a lot of things. I mean, I used to go to all different departments to take, or at least to listen, that music or the literatures. And then I moved to Delhi. My destiny brought me to Delhi, and you can imagine, I'm not a city girl. My parents are from Calcutta, but after I was born, my father was posted in North Bengal. So I grew up in North Bengal, like Shiliguri, Kuch Bihar, Darjeeling. So it was really beautiful, and from there I came to Shantiniketan. So I never had a touch of city life. So you can imagine how it was for me. And then I went to Glasgow School of Art. So it was a big jerk, the initial days. So as I was telling that how my poetry became silent, but that silence never made me convinced that I am no more a poet. I just could not express my poetic, expression in some language or document it in some script, but those voids become a poem. So when this is my last poetry book published in Bengali, and I asked the publisher that if I can design the book, and that book was designed with lot of pages completely empty, and only the page number was there. So just to make someone feel that someone who is the reader is reading this book, so the emptiness, the void will also, that absence of a body or form is a poem. And so I started, and by this time, in Delhi, I started thinking about language, thinking about what visual language means, because language that time did not limit within me only as Bengali or Spanish or Sanskrit or Hindi or Malayalam. So it actually started opening up its, it has expanded, and I started searching for it. I'm still in search of it, like what language means, what communication means. So this was this installation I did three times so far, and first time it was in a residency in New York, 2004, where I was, given a studio, and I started. At that time, I was also working with hair. So these artificial hair actually created over months, like a kind of later. And everybody, because all the other artists were definitely not from India, not even so they all assume, like this assumption is like such a strong thing in our cognitive mind, that it must be some native language from my country, So they kept asking, and I kept them in suspense that on the final day I'll explain, I'll translate, and I'll read. But on the final day I actually have given them, I invited them asking to translate if they can. And how they read actually, that subconscious reading of their mind when they confront that with something looks like a script or language, but actually it's nothing, and you come out with that. So I have from three places I have like thousands of different kind of translations are, and that is my work, what I keep collecting, that interaction. This is another piece in Bangladesh for Dhaka Art Summit in 2014, where I actually made a lot of poets and collected from them their declined poems that they some time in their life sent to the publisher or editor and was declined. So it is also about questioning the authority of who you are to edit my poetry, or so that whole institutional hierarchy, again, the politics of editing others, like kind of. So anyway, so I have collected 1,800 poems, and I made this book completely unedited, one piece of books, and from the manuscript I found that poets themselves do that self-correction, that self-editing, and that is most important. We first have to understand our own fault, and then we can only, it's actually, I don't know, I mean, I feel like, through self-correction only we can achieve our goal, and before someone start judging us or telling us what is wrong or what is right. So I actually created the sticker, and that's a shadow play on the ceiling, along with that book. So around 2012, I started. Second time after 10 years of silence, I thought that I'll come back with poetry and I'll start writing. And I downloaded actually some Bengali font in my that MacBook. And when I write, it is completely, I'm in like kind of a trance. So I don't even look at the screen, and I just keep writing, and it comes, it flows, like, So that happened after a couple of lines. When I thought that I have completed one poem, I looked at the screen and I was shocked because I could not read them. So basically some kind of a glitch, like the techno error happened, and this poetry becomes something unreadable, or sometimes only some letters I could read. I was, of course, very, very upset. But this time I did not allow myself to stop writing from what I was searching for. Maybe people think that, I was mad, but I kept writing, and I continued writing these glitches. After a couple of months, I had another book ready, which I even cannot read a single line. I went to a coder, and they said, like, this is impossible even to decode. Some technical reason, I don't know, because they became all some funny, interesting signage kind of things. And I called my publisher, the same publisher who published my book, and I said, like, I have another book ready. Without listening anything, he was so excited. He said, Mithu, I knew that you will come back as a poet. You are a poet, and a poet never dies. And I said, but you just read it. And he said, yes, please send it, and I want to publish it. I said, you didn't know what I've written. He said, I trust you, and I have a belief. So that is what actually makes our life, confidence, that someone believes on your practice, someone believes what you are doing. I sent him this thing. After a couple of hours at midnight, he called, he said, like, this is a corrupted file. Can you send me the right file? It took a couple of months to create that conversation between me and him, that why and how those corrupted glitches are my poetry, and he first definitely did not, agree, and he said, like, but you are an artist, you can easily make an artist book. Why you want to publish it from me? I'm a Bengali publisher of I said, yes, I know I can make an artist book, but you are the one who knows my poetry for last many years. You have published my books earlier, and you are the one who, without seeing things on phone, who said that I believe you are a poet. So I want your validation and acknowledgement by publishing my book and giving me that authority of your publishing house that this is a book of poetry, and knowing that nobody can read this book ever. And I did that. And by the same time, one curator came from London Tate Modern, and she was doing some projects and shows on word, sound and power. And she invited me for this show. And I also started, if I can write something on glitches, how can I read them? So I can only read them from being extremely conscious that I will not say something which in my knowledge and experience I have heard as a language and script. So some language, some sounds from my subconscious or something like that. I don't know. So, of course, when you are given a privileged platform like a museum or gallery or art circle, it is very elite. So, you get a respect, you listen to the voice, you listen, you try to. But when it is among the common people who doesn't understand what is art, what is, do we really try interacting on those plates, or we are always try to keep ourselves in a comfort zone? That really made me question all my life. So I actually, 2014, I actually hosted myself in a remote home, in Kerala, and I don't understand a single word of Malayali language. And I did a project. I stayed there with some young kids, like girls who were abused, and it was very painful and depressing, and I stayed with them for a couple of days, and I tried to communicate with them with my non-language. I tried to put myself in an equal platform with them because I don't understand their language, neither did they do mine. So for them it was not an alien language, but it is something that they don't know. We don't know how many languages in this world exist. So creating a similar kind of equal platform and then to interact, and how, slowly and within a couple of days we became, by surrendering our, body and mind and emotions, there was a bridge, there was a communication, and that was, I think, very satisfying for me, much more than doing it in Guggenheim or Tate Modern or different places. Anyways, I made a film. I don't know how many of you have seen it. I once showed it in KNMA. So I'm not going to show it. And please tell me when the time, because I don't know, yeah. And this was the orphanage. Another project in Japan, anyways, I'll just go through. So actually in Japan I was invited to do a project, and I was shown that how the Japanese populations are decreasing, and because of that reason how lot of schools with fully furnished with all equipments are completely, the whole building is empty. And when I came back to India, I go to different schools like this sometimes, not to do any charity or anything. I'm not somebody great, but just to experience what is happening around us. I found that school under the flyover and also in that train station. I started recording voices from those kids when they are taking, doing these classes. And I made the whole school building in Japan active with those recorded voices in this school, and I invited the locals saying that the school is reopening because there was a huge void. And I just, in my dream or in my romanticism, I just thought, if at all it is possible one day, we can exchange and we can create the third space where what we have and what we don't have can match, and we can. And I have made also, 350 drawings on my left hand, like child drawing, because it's also a struggle. I work with my right hand, and put them on a museum, like the first image you can see, yeah, and creating an adoption form for the locals, saying virtually you can adopt a child. So I actually given all those drawings to the locals, and they have adapted. It is kind of a symbolically or metaphorically, but just to, like that, what we have and what we don't have, and what they have, what we don't have. It's all human emotions. We all miss something or other. This is again with, because this kind of transcultural, kind of mixing is, because I travel a lot. Throughout the year I'm like, kind of constantly traveling. I don't just sit in my studio and produce drawings and sculptures, because that is also one of my major decisions, that I'll never make the market flooded with my tangible form of art products, because the only way I can resist that and not make my art too much of like, kind of as a commodity, if I involve myself with some other experiment and exploring life in a different way. My husband calls me visiting wife. So you can imagine like that status I have at home. So this is in Poland. I was given by the curator a single episode serial. Like in India also, I don't watch TV, but we have like long few, like 1,000 years long soap operas, like serials. Even my mom sees some. So this is one of them which is running for last 15 years. So it's a household thing. So I was watching this film over and over without understanding the language of what they're saying. I have created a narrative of this whole episode as one single story, and then I've created a subtitle for this whole film, and you can see like how I don't know if I have. Okay, I don't have. So this is the whole museum. It's two lines throughout the museum. In one line is that my narrative of that film in English. And then I put the whole narrative into Google and translated into in Polish. So it becomes another story. So there are kind of three different stories in one, based on one story, one film. And at the end that film was playing with the English subtitle but Polish. So it's a very kind of confusing kind of, yeah. These are little, I'm not showing. Okay, so this is one shadow drawings, how I play the shadow. So you can see. So I use the program lighting. So this is just one phase, and I will go with that. The beginning of my practice after finishing my school, like many women artists, I have started exploring body. I was making works with hair and blood, and of course no gallery looked at me because it was very repulsive and yucky, and one gallery actually thought that I really make beautiful, I have a very good skill making the hair sculpture. So she came with some beautiful copper and silverware, asking me that if I can change the medium from here to those, and she can give me a solo show. I was super happy to refuse her, because she didn't understand that the politics of materiality I'm trying to explore and what is the reason behind it. So this is my first film. It's a still from that film. Different. This is, it's like almost 84 feet long, one piece of sculpture with dental polymer and artificial teeth. This is a Museum of Unbelongings, one of my installation. So what I started saying that, like that the typecast or the taboo around something or anything. So it's same as an artist. When you have an identity, your identity is always focused on a typical way or a particular way. And my challenge is how I can constantly disrupt that or unsettle that identity. So for me also, like, feminism came as a feminist artist. The definition came from different pockets. Very much, like kind of putting me in order of like how I use like very strong erotic and sexual kind of graphic drawings, and how fearless I am and all those things, blah blah blah. But my feminism does not stay on that only on that platform. I rather feel like as a post-colonial feminist, my responsibility is to respond to all kind of marginals in our life, in the society. So feminism is not gendered. It has its very own definition, and this definition is constantly in every moment is changing. So we, as a feminist or as an artist, as a human being, I think what we need to do is like constantly redefining and not to be stuck in that Wikipedia definition of something. We have to explore and evolve. Real feminism is like a becoming, a constantly becoming. So that is what I mean. So like this is one work from my Mithu show, where in 2018, my last solo show after 8 years actually, where I tried to capture that how my 20 years of practice made a typical myth around me. I took myself, but it's a metaphor, not necessarily it's me, but just to say that how one identity can be, kind of misguide everyone as well as ourselves. The moment we create a style or something, we are actually trapped by the mind of the market or the. So as an artist, we have a living specific timeline. If I live like 50 years or 60 years, so I know that there is a time limit, so I have to just take advantage for each second of my life, and I cannot be stuck by the greed and provocation of my identity already made. So I tried to unmyth that politics of myth making in that whole project, and I started creating contracts. So these are a couple of my last show installation. I'm not going into because this keeps coming as an artist, you keep doing solo shows. But one thing, of course, I always try to create an atmosphere and give a domestic or some kind of a sense of around my artworks, which is considered as art piece, like a drawing or sculpture. And I just want to say, no, this is not without its surroundings. So I create the whole surroundings. And the subversion is another thing which I constantly do in my practice. I create strategy, I play tricks. So whatever I'm told not to do, like don't, and do's and don'ts really bothers me a lot. So like in Louis Vuitton show I was doing, and I was asked not to do too much of sex or violence or blood, because it is to celebrate the consumerism, because Louis Vuitton is a brand. So when I made my first set of works to the curator and the authority, the bureaucrats, that you can see the shopping, that trolley, with the fetus, the bleeding fetus. Of course, like a big no came and said, like, no, we cannot do this. This is too disturbing for our customers, So knowing that fact, I use lot of medium in my practice which has a reason. So this work I was doing in a special paper. It's called Japanese kozo paper. In Japan, actually, I did a project and I prepared this paper in my way. So this paper has a everlasting power, and we can work from both sides, and it is translucent paper. So what I did when it was refused, I made a flower bouquet, over in from one side. But finally, at the end in the show, I actually put all of them in light boxes. And a day before or on the opening day when we turn on that light, everything camouflage. And that was too late. And then I had to talk about life which is not without that death or morbidity or violence or sex. So we cannot hide anything. Everything eventually, camouflage. This is also another way you can see the shadow part which goes away with that light projection. A lot of my early works, drawings, 2006. That time I was actually quite, I don't know, what kind of bravery was that, but I was my curator galleries, they are very appreciative that, Mithu, you are doing really great jobs, taking out all these tabooed areas. Very sadly and unfortunately, in recent years, I am asked not to be so strong, to be subtle and sensitive towards other sentiments. So I found a way of self-censoring. This is what I'm practicing for last couple of years. How I can create some kind of tricks by self-censoring myself before it is under the censorship or something. I cannot stop what I'm doing. I just have to know some. Like this work was censored in Brussels by the ICCR. I don't know why, because the men cannot be pregnant. This work was also censored. This is in Japan, how I was making paper. Each paper is 4 meters by 3 meters, so they made the special bed for me. And this is how I work. And I don't have a single assistant in last 20 years. I do everything by myself. It's not that I cannot keep someone, afford someone, but it is just to believe in my own physical labor and energy and to give myself completely into that tangible piece I'm creating. And I have a pride on that because I don't want to do multiple productions. So a lot of young artist students also I disappoint because they want to work in my studio. I keep interns, but just to be there and do their own work and have lunch with me. So 2007, this work I shown in Delhi and also New York. And these two works, when I again wanted to show, there was a hesitation by people. I overworked. I changed that work. I blackened that work. I tried to cover all those areas. But what was my work then? Not this piece. But I create a contract, a declaration as an artist. What made me to do these things? And this is what I'm doing. I am, for last 3 years, I'm creating kind of legal or semi-legal contracts. I'm declaring what I'm doing. And so I'm in the same way I was 15 years ago when I was doing Drawing Room or I Hate Pink show, exposing the areas which is not, which you are not supposed to say. So these two projects I will just quickly show. One was in 2006. It's called It's Good to Be Queen in New York. And one was in 2007 called Earn Home. So both the projects I was actually invited to do a body of work. And both the projects were for a couple of months. One was in Los Angeles and one was in New York. I created lots of artworks in both the places. For New York, show, it was my first solo New York. I made these works for 3 months, but on the opening day I left, I said like, I don't want to be one component of this, the whole package of artist. Art means that artist will be present, and then all these things. So went from the whole package of gallery, artist, curator, like you take away one component, it unsettled that your position. Same way, in Los Angeles, I made lots of works. I used social media to feed every day how much I was doing. I was making film, I was doing drawings, sculpture, everything. And then finally, I invited people. They actually bought the ticket to be in my open day exhibition, and there was a lot of buzz. And then I sent them an address which actually brought them to a remote park where I was only sitting and nothing else was happening. There's no art. And we played and we danced and we we sang. So these two things I just wanted to explain that how I actually came off declaring my first contract as all my tangible form of artworks which is going to the market are actually byproducts of my real mission or my real the main process which people lot of time misread as products or as art is not, at least for me. I'm not taking everybody's, it's not a general, am I out of time or something?
Still have about 10 minutes.
Okay, because I don't have two things in my studio and life, calendar and watch. So only when people stop me, I stop, except when they ask me not to work, what I'm doing. This is a little flower shop in Chennai shopping mall, like high-end shopping mall, you can see. So what I did is I brought a couple of street hawkers into that shopping mall and let them run for a couple of weeks. So, again that unsettling and, exchanging that position of where you belong, and so how, I don't know, it has a lot of, I don't know if you know the Free Mithu project. This I started in 2007. That was my first web-based project, and it was definitely to counter the market. That was the time when within 6 months I realized that how talented I am, how important my works to be highly prized by the market and the gallery. I was told that you are real talent. That's why within 6 months your work price can jump 10 times. And I was disturbed. I was literally disturbed, and not with any modesty. I was clueless why it happened. If it was 10,000 today, 5 months later, how it can be 1 lakh? Anyways, and I also love giving people my artwork, because that is the only thing I feel that I have some rights to. Otherwise, everything else gift is considered as a price tag. You are being judged by what you are giving. So I launched my website, my first website in 2007 early, saying that if you send me a letter of love, I'll give you original work free. And that a lot of people thought it was a joke at that moment when each of my work was so highly prized. But I started giving and I started making this. So this whole transnational kind of counter-capitalism spread, and it is still running, but it is in a different shape now. Soon I will launch the second part of Free Mithu. And that counter-capitalism made me to do this Unmyth You show, which was actually about this whole politics of myth-making and artwork as byproduct. So I call them, it is my last 20 years of performance. I made 6 contracts, and out of 5 contracts, I made 5 set of works. So the most popular style of Mithu Sen is like my drawings. I picked up that size and that work. I made a lot of drawings, and this is the contract. I said that I am quite skilled and there is no more challenge left for me to create this same procedure and same pattern to repeat and make. So I still can make because I love making drawings, but I'll come to the market with an offer that if someone wants to acquire a drawing, I give them a 10% forced discount, and I'll not sign the work with the exact or the real year of that period. Rather, since 97 to 2017, any year of this I will just sign randomly. So to unsettle again the provenance of an artwork, which is very important for the auction houses and the art history, so I tried to unsettle that part. And this is what I displayed. No artworks you can see, but on the opening day or in the day, people started taking off because there was a rush that they are getting 10% extra. So hypnotic power of, like that buy one, get one or something like that, or you get a discount. I like playing with that, that the psyche of the human mind and the market. It is always in my, and also I started using from 2017, the captions, creating captions. It is no more just that the title, medium, size and year. There are a lot of hidden areas as mediums and as size I found that we don't explain or don't tell. Why not? If my medium is time, handmade paper, reading, drawing and in-betweenness, or if my medium is scar or wound and violence, why I will not say that? So I expanded my caption making also. You can see that size and year, and I made the gallery and the all publications to make these things and not to just specify this is like watercolor on handmade paper or something. So there are like 2-3 different other works. This is about co-investment, making one piece of work, 100 books and one painting, but I cut in 100 pieces and gave it to people who are co-investing in one work. So it's quite complex, so I don't want to rush like this because it's bad. And this is like 20 artworks from my last 20 years, unsold artworks. I took, like one I showed that how that half full show became black. And I actually gave, you can see each artwork from each year. And then the show is still running because for me it is a performance that which is still running, because I just Google keyword museum and I collect lot of museum email accounts, and I send them an email saying that I already have a preview of my Unmithu show and I'm an artist from India. I want to propose your museum a show if you can host me, and and definitely nobody actually even bothered, and you all will go through this phase in next couple of years, that how galleries and curators and museums actually never read this automated. Sometimes it is a process we all have to go through, and I just like playing these things when you are nobody and when you just send like these random mails. I send it to Jaipur Carpet Museum, Sulabh Toilet Museum, everywhere. For me, museum is the key word, and why not to play with that? And this is the performance I feel like, this is my redefinition of as a performance artist.
Alexa?
And then I play with Alexa.
How are you?
Glad you asked. I'm happy and chatty, so let's get talking.
Alexa, you balloons there, Mama?
Sorry, I don't know that.
Alexa, do you know my language?
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is yet.
What is your mother tongue?
I can talk English. I can walk English.
Alexa, I
made me skip a beat.
Alexa, who is that boy who drowned in the sea from Syria?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Who is Alan Kudri?
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is yet, but I learn about new people and businesses every day.
What is the meaning of xenophobia?
Xenophobia is usually defined as a fear of foreigners or strangers.
Alexa, you can't be female. Look at that, come stay in the building, stick up. This up, let them flag when I dead.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Alexa, what is the meaning of lyncher?
Lynching is usually defined as putting a person to death by mob action without due process of law.
Ooh. Alexa, can I lynch you?
For help with that question, go to the help and feedback section of the Alexa app. I didn't catch that.
Alexa, do you love nuclear bomb?
I don't have an opinion on that.
Alexa, you understand my English?
Sorry, I don't know that.
Alexa, who's the one with the face?
Shuffling songs by Lady Chris on Amazon Music. Sorry, I don't know that.
That's it. Thank you so much. We all need tea.
I think it was extremely interesting. And in today's context, absolutely wonderful. It talks about all the confusions which we go through and all the answers which are expected from us. And we are not ready for those answers, even in our work and otherwise too. No?
Yeah.
So it's, I think it was very well put, extremely identifiable. I'm sure of your success, the reasons, yes, absolutely.
Thank
Very
you.
nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Please, I'm totally impressed.
Thank you.
Any questions, please?
Yeah.
Anything which disturbs you?
All my energy, by the way, like comes from, of course, from where I studied Shantiniketan, and honestly from young generation. Lot of people are hopeless about young generations, but I think, and especially for recent days, what I am seeing, what is happening in different universities, and like how students are, what is happening in China. I mean, who was telling? I recently got an award for performance artist, and I didn't know what that platform were giving me, but of course, any award is like an acknowledgement of what you do. If people know it or not, I don't know, but like anyways. And I felt good and empowered, and I dedicated that work for all the women. I feel like play a really strong role, starting from my mother, from Shabarimala to Shaheen Bagh. So I have dedicated that trophy to all of them, and that is where, and it's not, again I'm saying it's not gendered, it's my feminism to look and to respond to the marginals in our life, and whether it's gender or race or communal, any kind of thing, or caste or anything. And I will just say, like, please see that, and if we can do that, and then only we are not just the artists, but we are real human being, because our time definitely need that. And only young, because we are now getting older, and like every time it's and this whole process is like a relay race. We pass the button, and then that next generation who has more energy, more confidence and more brave than us will pass, and there is no goal. You just have to keep running, and please do that. Please do that, and I'm always there, and don't ever fear for anything. Nobody can terrorize anything if you believe in something. So, yeah. And you can ask me anything. Thank you. I think there is no question. Is it too heavy? Or please say something, otherwise I'll feel very nervous and I'll go back heavy-hearted that actually what I said is didn't make any sense.
I also liked your statement which said that art, in spite of it being physically there, it is more to do with the mind.
Yeah. And art is something, it is cerebral, and also another thing is when I came to Delhi. Yes, of course, and it's not also just the cognitive part in our brain. It is more. I experience life. I feel it is more about that affective and the sensory, side of a human being, because, of course, cognitive part gives you the knowledge and the informations, everything that is in your system. It's like the chip is already there. But what is the difference between you and a robot or in that artificial intelligence is that your human senses, and your that affective power respond. So when I moved to Delhi, I was really, of course, I was silenced by different kind of politics. One was also that hierarchy of the elitism, whether it's in art world or different, because I came from Shantiniketan with a, khadi kurta and chappal and I did not know that there is a dress code, and invisible, this all kind of codes are kind of things you all have to, some of our privilege, we can have. I remember when I went to Glasgow after 2 years of being in Delhi, I had only 2 Fab India kurtas. And I'm not saying it is to show that how struggleful life was. No, I did not realize that it is required that you have to have some branded things. For me, that everything comes with the need of the life. So, and also we used to go to talks today we are here. And I was very nervous that when Geeta Kapoor is talking or somebody else, and I literally not even 2% of the whole lecture understood, but I was just sitting. There was trauma, there was inferiority complex, there was lot of curiosity but not being able to ask due to the lack of language or the vocabulary or confidence and smartness or many things. But I don't think that those are all unimportant. Even just to listen and not to be too smart and immediately kind of respond is fine. We just have to see, and we have to be very aware about what is happening around us. And it's not a question and answer session that after the talk you immediately have to respond with a very smart question, you will be noticed. No, don't subscribe that. Just be, whatever. Even today I'm talking because I feel comfortable and I just feel like I am sitting there 20 years ago, the same day, and how I feel. And someone who is sitting here who still can speak. My language definitely is not a sophisticated language. It's I have kind of adapted and I'm trying and so this is how I came up. But I feel I have a belief that you are still understanding what I'm saying. This is not a language. I am even worse in Hindi like this. But this is what I lack, And we all accept certain kind of lackings in our life. I can never be as fair as you, no matter how much fair and lovely I can put in my so we accept that, and it is not something, and today I can, and Also another thing I would say, like always try to make fun on yourself. That's the best way. You have to be a self-clown for your own entertainment, and then you can just do this more. And you are from Shantiniketan, so you know that energy and spirit. Shantiniketan gave me that spirit and the energy and the confidence. When I was there in 17 and a half years old, and someone during ragging period, which I was enjoying a lot, I used to be an athlete. So I was asked to do anything like monkey jump to, climbing in a tree and all these things. But one day one girl said, "You are very beautiful and I like your complexion." I started crying. I never heard that thing beyond my family members, because my mom, my sister, they're beautiful. One beauty is like they're very, very fair. And I had that complex, what is that? Am I not from that family? Even someone asked, "Is she your real sister? Is your mother like this?" And as a vulnerable kid, you feel how that otherness is happening even within your closed family members. They are saying that, "Is she your real sister?" So this otherness, this polarization starts from a very basic, kind of mindset of us. And today when someone said, "Oh, you are dark and you have long hair, she has short hair, or he is Muslim and you are Hindu," really nothing works for me. I just give a damn of all this kind of separation. Yeah, so, sorry. Please say something. Yes?
As you said that if an artist develops a style, it limits his work. So, is it wrong to?
There is nothing wrong. That is first thing. You just do it is good to be conscious, because I am, after 20 years, when I become a part of the whole system, where market part or gallery part is inevitable, where I also want to question and critique the system, I take a stand when I say that the market should not control me of what I love most, what I am passionate, or what I am developing as my, whatever, if it is style or something. So I don't want to be trapped on that, on their limitations. So I am not saying that you don't develop your own style, but be conscious about not to be stuck into that. I, as a person in today's time, I started painting, but I feel like doing film, I feel like doing sculpture. My dissertation was in an odd subject. So this freedom should be always there, so that you don't feel that you are limited with some kind of boundaries. But definitely as a student, you have to, you have to learn something. This is skill, what you are learning. And this skill will give you enough opportunity to, kind of explore through this. Like if you know one language, you can write a poetry, but not everyone can write a poetry. So this is exactly like that. This is after the school, after college, it is totally up to you how you will make your own composition or own poetry. Here in the, in the education, you are studying something, and there you are just given that understanding and also some skill that you are developing. So I really did not think ever about the style, and that was more like a modernist kind of, formalist, all these things. Art history says or something. I can be wrong because I was not really super good in as a, so, but style, apparently what we see, this style, and that comes to our mind through internet easily, what sells most. We hardly know people who are working remotely and conceptually, I don't know how many of you know about Tino Shegel or Adrian Piper, a lot of artists, who are not coming in front of our eyes with some visuals, some spectacularity, but they are serving a very strong role for the world, for our society as an artist. So as I said, artist role is like you have to decide what is your role in the society, what kind of position you will take. It's not you are learning, and it is one medium you are learning. that painting or sculpture, whatever, like new media or anything. It can be your text, it can be your anything, performance. These are like, there are 7 maybe in, I don't know, like in that art history or the Russia, you have 7 ways of kind of exploring visual art. But even visual art is not only visual. One thing you have to, it is that your mind, how it is telling you to, how to respond. And just pick up your medium, respond. Even if it is like, you feel like, oh, this is a very new, trendy thing, or you should, everybody is doing some internet art, why I cannot do? Try. But if you cannot be as smart as that other person is doing, it does not mean you are any less of that thing. This medium is actually life. Medium is not, for me now, medium is like strategy making, provocation, or seducing. I like human psyche I play with. Social media I take, so I don't even call that my medium is drawing or like painting or sculpture. I mean, I forgot to because I am not a master of those kind of mediums. I'm rather a player or performer or teaser. I use teasing. Yeah, so this is a lot of time. 3. Thank you so much. Yes, tell me.
ऐसा आपने जो वो वीडियो वाला काम करा था जहाँ पे आपने कुछ लैंग्वेज बोल रही थी आप वो पर्टिकुलर कुछ स्टोरी है या क्या है वो बता
नहीं
वो आप अपने थ्रू ही
yeah, so I'll start laughing हिंदी में अगर हम बोलेंगे क्योंकि मैं हिंदी तो अच्छा ठीक है, even if you laugh it's a part of the thing. तो मैं कोशिश करती हूँ कि ऐसा कुछ बोलूँ जो मैं खुद कभी सुना नहीं मेरा कान में, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस में. So basically it comes from some kind of a subconscious, so I try to keep myself as open and as spontaneous because ये जो सारे हमने सुना है, सीखा है आज तक, उसको छोड़ के हम कैसे बियॉन्ड दैट स्ट्रक्चर, कैसे जा सकते हैं. ये मेरा मतलब परफॉर्मेंस का टाइम में आई जस्ट कीप very conscious about producing, like lot of time it happened when in different part of this world I do this performance. Sometimes after the whole performance of half an hour or 40 minutes, someone comes and says like, you said something which means tree in my language, or which means mother in my language, or which means boat. But I said like, but that doesn't matter. It's a nonsensical language because I'm just trying to provoke you to respond with that moment. And I'm not sure if it really is making any kind of meaning to you, but the communication is happening. Because the language is also what? When you say something, it is like a music. When you create some music, and then you put the lyrics in it. But actually these are all vibrations and frequencies. In scientifically if you decode that part, that when something is like, when you are making, that our phantom stories, that how the drummers like, say something in Africa from one forest to another forest. So these are all how you read or decode those vibrations and sounds and the frequencies. And then you put some lyrics and that becomes some kind of a language and you communicate and it is similar. So this is exactly same way it functions, I think. First I'll say like I did not destroy. If you read the text, I said that now it has compounded identity. That means when I'm giving the statement that this work, I could have easily make another surface, another palette, like kind of and make a black work or something. The reason I'm making over this is because there was a reason. And honestly, in 2017 when I was making it, and I have that one girl, she was helping me in the research and all. So one day she came to my room where I was working. She saw I was crying and making. I'm a human being. So apparently, of course, it was a kind of defacing and destroying that existing things. It will never come back. It is like that chemical reaction happening. You know? But at the same time, I knew that I wanted to tell, this is just a surface, because before that I said these are all byproducts. So my detachment should be there. I should not be materialistically attached with something that, you know, that will hold me back from my way of expression. Yeah. So they you know, like it was just, it made me cry. It gave me sleepless nights. It only remained with some kind of photographic documentation, you know, today. But actually it is there in that layer. Like we have the whole Indus Valley civilization. We know that how in like 7 layers. Everything is in life is like that. It's a complex layer of things. So nothing actually like completely vanish, or, you know, everything exists, and that we have to accept. That we have to believe that everything is there. What superficially you see is that temporary and also ephemeral. It is, you never know if it is going to last forever. It's like moments.
You also grow from your own self. You're
Yeah.
not the same when you're
Yeah.
in the womb. You're not the same when you're out.
Yes.
You're not the same when you're a teenager. So it's like she's giving life to the work, and it's continuing.
Yeah.
And it's further after the product, it continues in the mind.
Mind, yeah.
Not only of the artist, but also of the onlooker.
Yeah,
and
that is the best
people-
archiving also. Recently I was in Malaysia, and someone asked, because I do this work and I don't have good documentation. And so someone asked that how do I archive my works and document? And I did not have a realistic answer. So I said that what you are taking back home, I give that responsibility to you to archive it, whatever is I showed and I said in this moment. And that is, we had oral history, we had that memory thing. We did not have that documentation or archiving, like, you know, even a few hundred years back, which are all very scientific and good. But I'm just saying that what I give most importance is that sensory and that emotional areas and our sentiments, our human connections, and yeah, this is all what I do. I am not a rocket scientist, so I cannot explain more. This is sorry. What?
Your recent award of performance.
हाँ वो दिखाया नहीं, मैंने तो 20% भी नहीं दिखाया जो है. I am like, you know, like a workaholic. I sleep 4 hours and I'm very hyper. So I have to, also the reason I don't keep any assistance, because I'm constantly into a process of doing something. वो मैंने last year किया था एक वेनिस में, and that is called unmansplaining, and वो तो है नहीं मेरे, I don't know, maybe in the internet or online. I have some, yeah. How to approach? Market will approach you if you do good work. No, but like just I think जोर से, like I can't hear. नहीं, market मतलब with your artwork you want to do. I think, I mean, look, there is really not one singular way, and main thing is like, and it may sound very idealistic and romantic, but the process is, and you are already privileged because you are in the biggest city of India, you are in the capital, you are already exposed with lot of different kind of art. Think about people who are in Khairagad or in Trichur or like in Shantiniketan. So it's like, I'm just saying, compared to all these remote art colleges, so you know how the market works. You know that how you go and see the exhibitions. For me, I feel like as an artist, I rather prefer to show my works to my professors and the curators first, because they are kind of, they after the school they might guide you, so be in touch with them instead of just going to a gallery and think about that if the work is marketable, and because there is a risk if you are, but of course you also see the galleries, and with your practice you see what kind of programming a gallery can because we all know that this gallery shows this kind of work. So I think curators and that art writers, critics, professors, the best option first to give you a little more guidance after finishing the college. And then you go and see the exhibition. Artists, of course, artists. Yeah, and I know a lot of young artists are in touch with me. I see their works when I have time. It's not that I can be always available. And then I just send these portfolios or something to some galleries whom I think can be kind of. So this is a process, this is a community, art world is also like a family. It's not that we don't have to be very biased or negative about it. It's not that nobody is trying to help you, nobody is looking at your work. We all have that kind of things, and it happens, it's a part of life. So you just, and you develop a skill which will give you to survive in life, whether you teach or you go to a job or something. So don't think that after the college you immediately start selling your work like Jeff Koons or somebody. So it's better not, even if it happens, just question why it is happening, because it happens sometime. But I think it's better learn something, offer that to the society, whether as a teaching job or as a kind of whatever, art agency or many options, and start not to take money from parents, not a single money, and start surviving your life and continue the work. If I really feel sad if someone stops working, when I came to from Shantiniketan in Delhi, I was living with my boyfriend because he was my partner, and I started living, and we had nothing. We both started working in a school. We took a school job because we knew that only in Delhi. Why we did not choose other cities? Because Delhi is the only city where the school starts in the morning and ends by 2 o'clock. So you get more than a half a day for your, and we both started, working like that to have those, extra times. Because in Calcutta or in Bombay, school starts around 10, and by the time you go back home, it is 5, 6, 7, you are tired. And so even if you start from the beginning that what you want to do and how much times a day you want to just keep for yourself, because we all have responsibilities for ourselves and for our life. You have to earn some money, you have to give back your skill to the society, and then you have developed your own language and own voice. And I think, I don't have a gallery, otherwise I could have asked you to show. But that happens, we all survive, yes. Just love art, what you mean, that is life. Yeah, and that will give you everything back.
Okay, enough for today.
Yeah.